time.
I mean, because it's absolutely ridiculous.
Good evening.
Oh, good evening, Tasha. How are you?
Well, thanks. How are you?
It's a good day to be alive. That's what I'm going to say.
Listen, I'm blessed to be here among the living. I do thank God for giving me another opportunity today.
That's right. So tonight we are talking about if you don't sacrifice for what you want becomes the sacrifice.
Mm.
Now I know. Hey, Gangsta E, how are you? Now I've been thinking about this and I've kind of been struggling with this, right? And so I'm going to ask you,
I know you were going to ask me. Why do I have to start? If you've been thinking about it, you share your thoughts first.
Nah, I want to ask you. Don't sit there trying to switch it up. You should have asked me first. So I'm going to ask you.
You always talk first. I don't get a chance to ask you first.
We're not doing it. So I'm asking you, have you had to sacrifice for something you wanted?
Bread, gluten.
Oh, yes, you did.
Love bread. Love it.
Yeah.
My first job was at a bakery, and I would like flip through the recipe book and be like, "Oh, can you make this one?" I didn't even realize they had so many different kinds of bread,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
And what I want is to not be, bent over with a terrible stomach ache. And so I have to sacrifice bread so that I can have good health.
So Tasha was it a gluten allergy?
Gluten sensitivity. It's not an allergy.
A sensitivity. Hi, Gail. How are you? Hi, Nan. How are you? Thank you, ladies, for joining us. I mean, so I'm glad you said that, right? So I thought about it, right? And I was like, if you don't sacrifice for what you want, what you want becomes a sacrifice. And I'm like, is it really a sacrifice if you're getting what you want? Like in my mind, it's not really a sacrifice. It's just the price you pay for getting what you want. Right?
Well, I mean, tomato, tomato.
I don't know. I guess because to me, sacrifice says, I mean, granted, I think you have a very good example, right? Because I mean, if I had to go without bread, that probably would be, because I'm just thinking about in my life, right? So I went to grad school, right? You work, you go to grad school or starting a business or whatever the things that we've done, they were all done with the intention of getting something in return. And this is just the cost of doing what it is that you want in return. And
I
so for me,
I think, it's more saying, if you want to start a food truck, right?
mhm.
This has been your dream all of your life. Your grandfather had a food truck, your daddy had a food truck, and you want a food truck, right? But it takes something to do it, right? To start a business. And if you don't sacrifice, if you got to save $10,000 to buy the truck, but you going out to eat every night or you spending $1,000 a month on food, right? Sometimes that part of your life has to be sacrificed to get what you want. Because if it's not, then the dream of having the food truck, that is then sacrificed so that you can have this life of eating out every night.
Yeah,
No?
no, because
Okay, I have another great example then.
sure,
Okay, how about relationships?
okay,
Okay, you have to sacrifice for what you want, right? If you want to be with this person and you know that it requires you spending time with them and driving, to the city that they live in or,
uh-huh,
whatever, the cross town, out of town, whatever,
yeah,
right? If you want that relationship, then you may have to sacrifice, right, to make it work, especially if y'all live distance from each other. You have to sacrifice to make it work, or that relationship that you dream of then is being sacrificed if you're not doing anything to pour into it to get what you want out of it. Is
So
that
I'm going to ask the ladies who are watching if they would drop their comments if they've ever had to sacrifice. And if so, what did they sacrifice to get what they wanted?
I did too. When I wanted to buy my first house,
Yeah.
I couldn't eat out all the time. I don't know why everything in my life is surrounded.
I was hoping you noticed. I was hoping you noticed that you were not raised in Ethiopia and you've been starving out here in these streets. This is my point.
I think it's my vice. It is my vice. It is my thing that I like. I don't shop, right? I eat. That's where I spend my money. I eat well. I like good food. Okay? And when I wanted to buy a house, I couldn't eat out all the time. I had to like literally put this is back in the day, my checkbook. I had to put it away, and I sacrificed all those wonderful meals and wonderful restaurants in DC because I needed to save every single penny that I could because I wanted to buy a house. And I did it in the time frame that I wanted to, but if I hadn't saved, then, I may not have
Yeah, I'm just going to say maybe for me, not eating out every day, it's a choice because you want the house. So you had two options: get another side hustle that's going to make you more money, or you were going to save some money.
Easily said for someone like you, maybe, right? Other people actually feel like they have to sacrifice things, right? Like it becomes a sacrifice for them.
All I'm saying is that it's perspective. And so from my perspective, if in fact you're getting what you want.
Easy for you.
Again, perspective. I don't know that it's easy. It's perspective. I had to sacrifice speaking my mind at job when I needed to feed myself and my child.
Mothers sacrifice a lot for their kids. They do.
Okay. So if you don't sacrifice for what you want becomes the sacrifice. And so that these are options and these are choices that I guess we have to make.
So there's been nothing in your life. A sacrifice is giving up things for your children. Yep.
I just see it as a choice. Every parent does not give up for their child, right? It becomes a choice. Huh?
I may disagree with that. I'm pretty sure
every parent is not a good parent. There are some parents who put themselves before their kids. Every parent is not a good parent. Every parent is not putting their child ahead of themselves. There's called a whole child protective services that would sit there and say different. Yes. So every parent does not. But it is, to me, it is a choice. And if what you want and your love for your child and the thing that you want for your child is worth it to you, that's the choice you'll make.
And so how do you define sacrifice?
I guess when I go to sacrifice, I go to Christ. Like that to me is a sacrifice. You gave up your life for something. Everything else for me pales in comparison.
For sure. So you don't ever use the word to sacrifice, describe anything in your life.
Because it's all a choice.
This might not have been a really great conversation for us to embark on.
Well, when you said it to me, I said, but it's good to have perspective.
Yeah. I mean, sacrifice for sure. That is the ultimate sacrifice. But I do think that, what did we say in the email, right? It's, like giving up something that you want to get something of a greater value. Tithing is a sacrifice. We going to church now. You all up in the assistant pastor's house.
Let me just say this because you've seen me, right? And we actually had this incident, right? I had my tithing on automatic, but apparently I changed banks and my tithing wasn't automatic. And it came to the end of the year and I realized maybe there was a sizable amount of money that I had not given away. And I was immediately convicted. And I said, oh, it's like I'm going shopping for charity. And I said, you get money, you get money, you get money. And it was not a problem for me. It was not a problem for me.
Perspective, right? You are a baller.
No, I'm not a baller.
When you're a baller, maybe it's not a sacrifice.
No. It wasn't.
Some people, Tithing is a sacrifice.
So for me, it's not that I'm a baller. I know
You
that
get,
that is.
you get money. You
I
get
hadn't said I hadn't given it away because to me it's not my money to begin with, right? To me, the money is not mine. So for me to hold on to the money would be wrong. It's not my money. I always see that 10%. It's never mine. It was easy to give it away. It wasn't mine. It was easy to give to charity.
Sharon does not ever sacrifice anything.
She makes choices for everything.
Trade-offs? Is that another word you can use for sacrifice? Have you ever had to trade
Sure.
off something? Like what? Let's hear your examples. What are you doing right now?
Listen, when I wanted to come out of debt, right, I needed to trade how much money I could save. I couldn't save. Like I like to be on a savings plan. I couldn't save. I had to put that money towards debt. That was a trade-off, right? I like to save money. I like to plan for the future. I like to have, but guess what? If I want to get out of debt and I want to pay off that school loan, that grad school loan that was hanging over my head, that was going to be there for 30 years, that car loan, yeah, I had this, the credit card, yeah, I had to do it. I had to do it.
And
That
so
was a trade-off.
savings was the only thing you had to sacrifice, nothing else?
Say that again?
Savings, that was the only thing that you had to sacrifice, nothing
It was a choice.
or
I wouldn't even call it.
trade off.
Listen, I wouldn't call it a sacrifice. I'd call
I
it
said trade-off. I said trade-off.
trade-off. Trade-off. I mean, so whether it's financial, whether it's whatever, I mean, it's all, for me, the greatest sacrifice I can't even compare to. So it's all a choice. This is how y'all know we don't talk about these topics before we come here.
Okay.
But I will say this, right? I was talking about this topic with a friend of mine before we got on, and he made a very good point. He had, and if he may be watching, I don't know if he's watching, but I ain't say no names. So he has a sister, right? Sister was living with a boyfriend. They got into it. She called him, brother, come get me. He came over to the house. Come on, get your stuff. Let's go. So the boyfriend tried to start explaining what was going on. He said, hey man, I don't really need to hear all that. Sister, come on, get your stuff. I'm waiting for you outside. So as he's walking outside, the boyfriend pushes him. The sister comes out and jumps on the brother. Well, no. After the boyfriend pushes the brother lays hands on. Because you pushed me and I'm coming to get my sister. Completely understand, right? So then the sister comes and what does she do? She jumps on her brother for putting her hands. So their relationship is forever changed. Now, what I will say there is she sacrificed her relationship with her brother for that boyfriend. Because he'll never come out there for her again. He'll never protect her in the same way again. And to me, that was the sacrifice. Now he said, well, I sacrificed getting up at 2:00 in the morning to get her. I said, you would have done that because you love your sister and you wanted her to be safe. And you do that for someone, you would. But I thought
I think the ultimate point of it is basically if you don't go after what you want, then that dream is then sacrificed for whatever else you're doing. Right?
Absolutely. I 100% agree with that.
So we can use sacrificing the dream in that context.
Well, we're going to just go along with it. At this point, we're just, I've just ruined the whole thing. You were going someplace else. I didn't go after that same glass of water. So
listen, I think the way that we help women not have their dreams be sacrificed, right? This is tying it all back together to us, right? This is where my thought process was in this whole thing and where I was going the conversation.
I love it.
We talk about the why, right?
Yeah.
And that is what keeps you going and keeps you strong when times get rough, right? So that you don't have to sacrifice your dream. Maybe it's deferred, right?
Yes.
And we talk about pivoting when things don't go like you want to, but you don't have to give it up completely.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would agree.
I'm
and
glad.
we help keep that dream in the forefront and help you make decisions and create a roadmap.
And sometimes there are trade-offs to get what you want.
Absolutely. There's always a trade-off to get what you want. I think there's always a trade-off.
We're coming full circle, y'all. We're bringing her back.
It is. We're coming. I'm coming to trade-off, choice, sacrifice. Yeah, all of it. Yeah, sure.
Well, I'm glad you agree.
Yes, I do. I mean, but I think and when we see women who are overwhelmed with life and they have put themselves on the back burner, like that's hard to see, right? Because we know that comes with resentment. We know that comes with depression. We know that calls for uh, low self-esteem, anxiousness, regret. And we don't want to see any woman, particularly any Black woman, have to deal with it if she doesn't have to,
Yeah.
right? If she can just have a partner or a plan or just to help her say, sis, you can do it. And here's how you can do it. And we'll hold your hand on your way to doing it. Absolutely.
I never want to be that person that says, man, I always wanted to such and such and such and such, right?
Yeah.
Whatever that is, right? If
Yeah.
you always wanted to, then do it, right? That's your dream. And maybe, like my Thanks to E talked about sacrificing for her kids. I think that sometimes can be deferment, right? That sacrifice is deferring, right? But you don't ever give up on it. You don't have to make that dream the sacrifice for your kids, right? So
Yeah. And Gail said she had to sacrifice speaking her mind. It's safe to say that was only a deferment. It's not like she gave it up.
it was likely it might have been a sacrifice in that moment.
In that moment.
Or in whatever position that was, because she was like, if I say what's on my mind right now, me and my child gonna be on the street.
Yeah.
Because they're gonna fire me.
But something says, I don't know. I got this feeling.
That she said it later.
Yeah, it wasn't forever. Like she never knows what it is to speak her mind. I seriously doubt that's the case.
Listen, the bottom line is don't let your dreams become the sacrifice, right?
Yes,
Sacrifice
exactly.
for those dreams.
So
Evangelist said, I'm living my best life now. Yeah.
Absolutely. Wait, no, the kid had a hole in her face. I guess she was saying her kid needed to eat. I don't know.
Oh, a hole in her face.
Yes.
That's
yeah. Is it? It's not. And it's right. Gangsta E is living her best life right now. And she's a happy, proud grandmother, right? And she gets to see her children go off and be flourished. And yeah, that was a great choice.
I think so.
I think so too. All right. So that's going to do it for us this evening. It has been, if y'all ever think that we sit here and practice these phone calls, never.
Nope. Because I would have said, okay, why don't we talk about something different tonight? But it's all good. It's fun. It's light. I like to laugh. I hope you all laughed a little bit this evening as well.
But also we gained perspective that there were different perspectives to see it for sure. Right. And so if you want to follow us, please go ahead and follow us on Facebook at AQ Partners and at Instagram at AQ_partners and our website, theaqpartners.com. And if you'd like to take our class, Change the Game, it is a really great way to get started in this space of accountability and for a very reasonable price. And Tasha and I are there, and we're there to help you walk through it and get prepared to create your master plan so you don't have to make any more sacrifices. And you can go to bit.ly/AQ class.
All right.
And that's going to do it for us. Good night, everyone. Thank you guys for joining us. We appreciate it. Just bearing with us tonight. We just because we needed the help.
Good night.
Good night, sweetie. Bye-bye.